Welcome to Norfolk Perspective City Slice. I'm Bob Batcher. Today we're going to have a conversation about developing tools between you and the community, the police department, and the city to really move forward on the quality of life and improving the quality of life in your neighborhood as you see it. I've got three very special guests. Chief Michael Goldsmith, how you doing?
How are you?
Norfolk Police Department, obviously.
Yes.
Reverend Leroy Briggs, Norfolk Police Chaplain.
Yes.
How's it going? And everybody knows you, Rodney Jordan, who is, I got you down as a community activist. So should we start listing what you are?
That's fine. I'll
Norfolk
accept
Public
that.
Schools. But Rodney, and I do want to start off with you because you and I have had the pleasure of working together for a long time
Yes.
In the community level. And that's really where the definition of quality of life is born, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's been a whole group of individuals from around the city that have been working together, sometimes informally and formally, just trying to figure out how we can improve neighborhoods, how we can have stronger neighborhoods, have neighborhoods of choice. And so that's just been something that I've been involved in for the last 20 years. And over the last few years, had the opportunity to kind of look at some different models that were more focused on resident-led initiatives and driven around markets and choice and strengths, and just see if there's some new ways that we can try to engage the community and the city and other partners around having neighborhoods of choice.
Well, and I'm going to throw a question back at you that you throw to me.
Okay.
Is that how do we define the community? Is it from Newtown Road to the water and from the Elizabeth River to, or is it the neighborhood or street driven?
Well, personally, I think that's one of the challenges we have in Norfolk. You know, we have these identifiable boundaries, but part of what we worked on is really just starting block by block.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there are blocks of strength, there are blocks of weaknesses, there are blocks in between. So really starting at the home, going neighbor by neighbor, looking block by block and building out from there. Doing some data and some assessments to try to see where there's commonality, but all of that still takes place within the framework of what we call neighborhood or what we call community in Norfolk.
And Chief, I mean that neighborhood or that community prevents you from really having that one simple solution, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, Bob, what it does is, you know, it prevents us from taking a one-size-fits-all approach. We have to be able to find the people in the community that we can partner with that are trying to do the things that we think will help, you know, our communities as a whole. And it becomes a challenge sometimes to make sure that we're addressing what each community needs. You know, one of the problems that we had early in policing is we would take what I called the medical model and we would deliver what we thought the solution was to the neighborhood. And too many times, it really wasn't what the neighborhood was looking for. So what we had to do through community policing was drop back and say, okay, we need to listen to what the neighborhoods are trying to get to. And then we become the folks that try to help facilitate that from a law enforcement end. So you really have to come in and listen to what the neighborhood wants and what they're looking for in police services. Otherwise, you lose you know, what the neighborhood wants to do. And you end up taking this point of view that you're going to deliver a solution to that community. It may not be the solution the community is looking for.
Okay, but you can't watch the first 11 minutes of any newscast, and I think anywhere in the country, without hearing about crime. And the drumbeat quite often is, you know, the police, the police.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, what seems to be going on right now is we're seeing this level of violence, primarily gun violence, that is happening
all over the country.
All over the country. I mean, not just in Norfolk, but all over the country. And you know, I think at least from the law enforcement perspective, what we're trying to do is what, you know, in addition to our traditional law enforcement methods, through investigations and arrests and things of that nature, is we want to make sure that we stay connected with our communities throughout all of this. You know, it's important that we are there for them and that we are able to network with them and partner with them and to keep those bonds in place that we've worked so hard to establish through community policing, because that's really, I think, where the solution is going to lie. If you are looking to reduce any type of crime in any particular area, you've got to engage the community. You have to listen to what they want and as Mr. Jordan said, you know, build on the strength that's there. So that's the challenge for law enforcement agencies today, I think, in trying to deal with a lot of what's going on, is trying to make sure that we are connected to the people that we serve.
I think sometimes, going back to the first 11 minutes in the news, we think of crime beginning from the investigation, from the crime's been committed. But really the work in the community is long before that. Chaplain, I know I'm now hearing, you know, the church community is saying, you know, we need to step up. We need to take back our community. How do you find, I mean, you've got experience in the church and in law enforcement.
I look at it, like you said, on the news media, when they're always bringing up all the shootings and all the crime and everything, you know, they seem to publicize that more, but they leave out, and then they point at the police, say the police this, police that, you know. But the whole thing to me is we got to reach the parents and put the responsibility where it belongs. It starts in the home. Not saying there's a bunch of bad parents, but there's a lot of parents that just are not equipped, and they get frustrated. You know, jobs and this and that, you know, but still, those are your children. Mm-hmm. You're responsible for them. You're responsible that they learn in school. You're responsible for what they bring in your house. You're responsible where they go. And the parents have to be more responsible and responsive to their children. We got civic leagues that they do a lot. Somebody's grass too high, hedges ain't cut right. What about things in the community to enhance, to help the children? You know, your children might be all right, but your neighbor's children are going astray. Those are your children too. Yeah. The community. Well,
I know I'm looking at three guys who did pretty good. I mean, your daughter's now coming up in college, and I understand straight A student.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, you've done pretty good. And Ronnie, you're starting to see it through the school board. I mean, but how do we go from three guys doing a pretty good job of raising their kids to making it a community?
Well, I think it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Appreciate you saying good things about my children, but, you know, there are ups and downs everywhere. Well, can I just go back for a moment, because we talked about things being nationwide, and I think that's true. But there's also a tendency for us not to deal with some brutal facts and realities. Mm-hmm. So there are some communities that have a disproportionate share of crime, have a disproportionate share of victims than others. And I think what our tendency is when incidents occur, we give focus to that problem, but we don't always look at, well, why is it that there are some communities that seem to have very low levels of crime and other communities that don't? And if we can identify what those strengths are and replicate what works, rather than often seem to be trying to fix a problem that emerges, I think we can see some better health all around the city, all around whatever area that you identify. And so one of the projects that we worked on, we were doing our vision engagement strategy in the greater Park Place area, we looked at strengths. And so we felt, and we've asked the police department and codes and the churches and others to really invest in the resident leadership and the strength, so that residents or individuals in the neighborhood begin to self-manage what happens in the community, and the police is there in some cases to help provide breathing room for that to happen, while at the same time always responding to the issues that, you know, police departments are there to respond to. But ultimately, I think in these communities where you have less crime, there is greater self-management, and there's greater respect for the police department and the police department to the citizens, because we can't leave that piece of it out of the equation as well.
I think one thing too that's been said, and it goes back from being parenting, whatever, when you can develop a relationship and an understanding of the role in working together. And in talking about Park Place and community policing, that's where the CRO really has been pivotal too, right?
Yeah, you know, without a doubt, our community resource officers, or at least for the police departments where the rubber meets the road, and our community policing effort. Those are the officers that are on the front line of this. They're the ones that work very closely with the communities. We foster a very close relationship between our CROs and the communities that they serve. I think it is about, you know, trying to find out again to make those necessary connections so that we're acting appropriately for the community. We want to make sure that we, as much as we can, provide services that, for lack of a better term, that are tailored to what the community needs in order to build strength. And some of that is, sometimes it's like Mr. Jordan said, we provide a buffer for people to be able to work. Sometimes it's heavy enforcement. It just depends on what the community, you know, what point they're at in their stage of development. But it really is not a one-size-fits-all approach. But Mr. Jordan's absolutely right. It's based on mutual respect for what's going on between the community and the police department. And that's what, you know, one of the things we work very hard to try to establish And that's where the CROs are very critical because they get so close to the neighborhood. There's a lot of things I can do as a chief of police. If I move one of those CROs without letting the community know that they're being moved, that almost guarantees a call to my boss that I've done something horrible. So that's how close, and that's the type of relationship we want them to have, though, that they are that close to the neighborhood.
Well, and that then breaks down a lot of those barriers that sometimes pop up about, you know, the police are my friend or the police is the enforcer. Or it really defines that relationship. So that you're not snitching if you're talking to a police officer, right? Okay, we can talk in general, but what are some specific things that are you see that are happening? I know that we've got the Scholar Fest coming up.
Yeah, well, Scholar Fest is something that really evolved around a focus on excellence in education as well as, excuse me, I'm crying, on spiritual and holistic family development. So the Rose of Sharon Church was having a youth explosion out in Lafayette Park. Organizations in the Park Place neighborhood looking to do things around academic excellence and going back to school. So last year those two things came together, and this year will be the second annual. Will happen on September the 6th. And so we're excited about not only being able to focus on academic excellence and spiritual and holistic family development, but also using it as an opportunity to build and strengthen relationships again between the community and the police department. Because it only takes one incident, really, in a fragile relationship to take you backwards. Mm-hmm. And so we know we've had some challenges there, and so we have to be diligent and consistent in sustaining our efforts to make sure that those relationships are there, so when problems do occur, they don't break down all the work that's been done.
Also, what I think I heard you say, too, is taking an opportunity to really create a solution rather than just beating the drum on the problem.
Absolutely.
Right? Reverend, I mean, you see that, too, in between the blending between the police department and maybe even engaging the religious community, the church community.
Yes, I see. I've been in Norfolk since 1961 when I came here in the Navy. I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen how the police department has grown. I've seen how they, and Chief mentioned something before about respect, and we have to. Again, I'm beating the drum over and over. Parents must teach their children to respect not only authorities, their teachers, and their own parents. Mm-hmm. But we've lost that. Somewhere we've lost the grit, the true grit about what a family is about. Everybody goes their separate ways instead of coming to be a benefit to the community. And it's the community starts in your home. It starts mm-hmm. right there.
So that's the place to have part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Is to start right in your own living room.
Yeah.
And say, okay, that might be occurring across the street, but how can we respond to it as a positive family unit, no matter what your family unit may look like? Kind of in closing, and looking at that investigative part, and where I said it, that shouldn't be the beginning, but quite often it is. You really do rely on the resident to be engaged in helping you solve a crime too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is so important that we have a type of relationship with our residents that they feel secure in letting us know what's going on in the neighborhoods, even before a crime takes place. The ability to have that open conversation, they can talk to us about things that are happening, provides us with a lot of information that we can use to either solve a crime, interdict a crime before it takes place, or maybe address an issue with a family that needs to be addressed. Maybe there's a family in need of services that we have not seen yet. And if they can get that type of, if they're comfortable enough to talk to us about that, we can provide, or at least put them in touch with the appropriate agencies that might be able to help them out. But it all starts with being able to talk to one another.
In closing, I guess where I've really heard from the three of you a consistent message is that rather than viewing this as a problem, is to identify some solutions, get those solutions communicated in your living room, and then spread it among the community. So rather than looking at it being a national problem, how can you as a family come together, whatever your family may look like, come together to identify solutions that you can be part of, and then join the community in making this a citywide effort. Thanks for joining us.